What's going on, everybody? I wanted to quickly share my thoughts on the P3A Tank second revision. Bought this from Evolpow, $6.99. I wanted a full power rack. Again, I had a half rack from Temu and I decided it was time to upgrade, so I picked this one up. After looking at it for a while, I was surprised that the P3A Tank was going to get a second revision, and I really wanted to try it out. I liked the first one, but there were a couple things that were keeping it from, being my forever power rack, and this one is a revision, fixing a lot of things I had a problem with. Right off the bat, it is a full cage 4-post power rack. They have a 6-post model. I didn't want to spend that much at the time, but I'm kind of regretting it now. I should have splurged a little bit more and got the 6-post because I needed a place to store my racks. I got the cheaper version, and as you can see, it does come with weight plate holders and 2 barbell holders, but it would have been nice to have more weight plate storage since I have a small garage. Speaking of having a small garage, I love the fact that they have an accessory peg holder in the back. There are 1, 2, 3, and 4 spots to hold the accessories that come with the power rack. The accessories that you're getting are the standard lat pull-up bar or lat pull-down bar, your handles, your tricep bar, things like that. Now, they include a heftier version of the dip bar. This thing holds about 400 pounds. Besides the dip bars, you are getting J hooks that hold 1,000 pounds. The pulley itself has a weight capacity of 600 pounds with the cable. This thing by itself is about 250 pounds weighed down. It's not going to move. There's no worry of tipping. I have all my weights there, and I actually use the pull-up bar to do my TRX movements with very, very little concern. One of my favorite things about the P3A Tank second revision is that it looks like a beast. Aesthetically, it is very pleasing to the eye. Construction is really well done. I didn't have a lot of iron sand. It came packaged pretty well. There were no dings or anything like that out of the box. So as you can see here, anywhere that you see came after I was using it. So a spot would be here. You can see some of the wear from just putting in and on the safeties, or taking the safeties on and off. Hopefully you can see some of it. Yeah. But that was from regular wear and tear. This thing is surprisingly one of my favorite power racks that I've used so far. Now, 2 improvements that they have with the second revision is the safety bar is now a flip down safety. Works pretty awesome. This thing has a load capacity of 700 pounds. This is the J hook that I was talking about. This has a static hold of 1,000 pounds. I don't know about you, I am not going to be lifting 1,000 pounds. And they have a new arch logo that adds to the stability of the power rack. I didn't know this, but when I looked at the website, you can actually customize your arch logo. I didn't customize mine, I just put a mustache on the gorilla. Looks pretty cool, if you ask me. So the whole power rack is a little bit, well, not a little bit, it's a lot more stable than before, mainly because the hardware that they included is so much better. In fact, the overall construction and materials of the P3A Tank is so much better. This upright may be 14 gauge still, but it is 3x2, or as close as 3x2 in international units as you can get. I don't have a problem with it. They list 3x2 on the website, but it's a tad smaller than 3x2. So once again, we are looking at something that is close to 3 and 2. So as you can see here, not quite 3, pretty close. And then on the side, pretty close to being 2. As you can see here, they have laser cut numbers on the front upright, front and back, but when it came to the back post, they're nowhere to be seen. And I'm not sure why they did that, because they should have added numbers on the back post as well, seeing as this is a full cage and you're most likely going to be doing your bench pressing here, maybe even setting up your squats here. I'm not sure why they did that, but it would have been nice to see similar laser cut numbers on all the uprights. So the uprights are about 83 inches, and then you have roughly 24 inches from the front upright to the back upright. So you have plenty of room to set up a squat comfortably. But if you're trying to do shoulder presses inside the cage, you're most likely going to have to do it outside of the cage. There's just not enough overhead clearance. But as you can see here, this is how I set up a squat. When I'm squatting inside the power rack, you can squat outside the power rack and face the wall, but I feel more comfortable having somewhere to go when I fail a lift. So I set it up on the inside of the front upright. That way, if I have to bail, I have all this room right here to bail, rather than bailing towards the wall. Because as you can see, the weight trolley is there and there's a wall there. So just make sure that you, depending on your setup, know how to fail a squat safely. This goes for any power rack, really. Now I think the P3A is constructed really well. I wanted to show you some of the welds. So this is 14 gauge steel. Like for 700 bucks, the welds are really well done. This is the weld on the safety. It should give you peace of mind that you're lifting in something that can handle a lot of weight, pretty much anything you can throw at it. Granted, you are lifting responsibly, but yeah, this thing should handle anything you throw at it. The welds are clean, the hardware is good. I would be very, very comfortable if this was going to be inside my garage forever and my kids were going to use it by themselves. So one thing the version 2 does better is the flip down footrest when you're doing any kind of rowing motion, pulling away from the upright. So the version 1, it was just there, like you bolted on and it stayed there. So this lip could get in the way, but with the version 2, you just put it down if you're not using it and it's out of the way. It's as simple as that. I also like the distance between the footrest and the upright. I'm able to get like a really good stretch at the bottom position of any kind of rowing movement. So it's not so close as last time, because revision 1, it was pretty much half of this was really close. That didn't allow me to get a good stretch. So keeping it in this position, I feel the stretch on rowing movements a lot better. I found that in the revision 2 of the P3A Tank, I use this a lot more now than I have ever used before. And they also include this attachment, T-bar attachment. I didn't have this before in any of the power racks that I reviewed or that I bought. And I found that I really, really like doing landmine movements now. They may be, outdated or not as trendy as before when I would like go on Instagram, but I really like the movements. I really think this is a worthy addition to the P3A Tank. The pull-up bar on the power rack is pretty amazing. Like, it feels really good. There's knurling almost on every spot that you would grab, even over here for ultra wide pull-ups. It's not slippery. The knurling is really good. I don't know if I can get a close-up on that, but it feels like a really nice barbell. So kudos to Evolpow for implementing like really good knurling for everybody who likes to do pull-ups. Okay, so now we're gonna look at the weight trolley. This thing holds up to about 600 pounds. I have bumper plates on it, so I'm kind of maxed out. If you have metal plates or really thin plates, you can put a lot more on there, and I would suggest having metal plates if you're gonna have this kind of system. The reason is this is a 2-to-1 pull ratio. If you have 200 pounds loaded on the weight trolley, you're only going to be using 100 pounds of it. So the more weight you can get on it, the better off you are going to be. I'm maxed out right now. All I have is a 45, a 15, and a 25. So that's as heavy as I can go unless I switch over to iron weights, but I'm okay with that. Okay. This is not, as I said before, this is a 2-to-1 pull ratio. Something to consider is that anytime you're pulling both pulleys at the same time, it is no longer 2-to-1. It is 1-to-1. These are both connected to the single weight trolley. So any kind of fly movement or row that requires you to pull both pulleys at the same time turns that weight trolley into a 1-to-1. So if you have 50 pounds on there, you're pulling 50 pounds when you pull both pulleys. If you're only pulling one side, you're doing a 1-arm chest fly, it's 25 pounds. But if you're using both arms to do a chest fly, doesn't matter whether it is from high, middle, or low, that is 50 pounds. So that is something to keep in mind. Going back to the pulley system itself, I'm not a super big fan of this design. I don't understand why the bottom pulley is bigger than the top pulley. This cradle doesn't need to be there right here, because a lot of times if you're pulling straight down, you end up rubbing the ball and the metal part on this outside shroud. So your first rep can feel a little awkward if you're right underneath it. But if you're pulling away from it, it's not a big deal. This should actually be one-hand design. You have to untwist it, pull it out, and then move it. But if they had a metal bracket here, you can twist it, grab the metal, pull the pin, and just move it up and down. So it would have been nice to see a one-hand design, but that is like such minor gripes that this thing is like pretty flawless. It's really smooth. They use nylon pulleys, which I personally like because it actually keeps the cable, which is rated for about 700 pounds, from fraying or I guess eroding or wearing out too fast. A lot of people like aluminum pulleys because of how smooth they are. These are smooth enough. So one thing I want to talk about with a machine like this, the reason I prefer the full cage is there's not a lot of moving up and down because you have 4 posts to work with, and you're most likely going to be using the posts in the back for a lot of your lifts, kind of like how I have it set up here. So it goes without saying that when you're moving the pulleys around up and down, you want to make sure that you take the flip down safeties off, unscrew, pull it out, lift it where you want to put it, and then you can put your safeties back if you need to. Yeah, I'm doing it with one arm. There. That didn't take me that long and it wasn't too hard. So just thought I would give you a demonstration of how you would move the pulley up and down if you needed one. So can I recommend the P3A Tank for $6.99? Yes I can. You have really good accessories, you have really good hardware. The construction is easy and sturdy. You can put this up by yourself in about 3 hours with the right tools. Everything feels and fits really well. It performs like really good. If you drop heavy loads on the flip down safeties, you'll be fine. This thing is steady, secure, and heavy. It's over 250 pounds, so it's not gonna tip on you. It looks awesome. I would like a redesign of the pulley and different accessories. And I would say that if you are thinking about getting this power rack, just go ahead and splurge and get the 6-post version. That way you have the ability to store all your weights on it, and it looks even nicer, and it's gonna weigh it down even more. I really wish I got the 6-post version. I was trying to save a few bucks, but it came back and bit me in the butt. So if you want my advice, just get the 6-post version. Alright, thank you for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the review. Any questions or comments on the Evolpow P3A power rack, let me know. Thanks for watching. In this section of the video, I wanted to talk about some of the specific exercises that I do and my experience using the P3A tank and those exercises, as far as fitness goals, general physical preparedness, otherwise known as GPP. My main goal is not really building muscle or anything like that. It's just staying fit to keep up with my kids and delaying death. So I would say delaying death is a huge portion of why I work out. Now, you're not able to use the entire height of the upright. This is 80 something inches, but if you look here, a good portion of the top section is unused because it is acting as a brace. So depending on your height, workouts like tricep push down are gonna vary user to user. I found that if I use it with a bar, I don't have to lean back or take a step back further. But if I use a rope like this one here, because of the distance and height of the attachment, I tend to bend more using the rope, or at least take a step back further and really kind of get my butt in, out in the open. Not a comfortable position that I like, but this is the only way that I can get a good stretch on my triceps, just because it feels like the upright is a little shorter than something that I've used before in other power racks. Just wanted to point that out. Another exercise that may be hit or miss for you because of the lowest positioning being at shin level for the pulley. The exercise is a glute kickback, or at least a kneeling glute raise, or a kneeling single leg glute raise to be specific. Because the pulley is at its lowest point, which would be about shin level for a lot of people, the contraction, depending on your body type and positioning, might not be all that great for you because you're starting at such a high point. If the pulleys could go lower and utilize the entire height, top and bottom of the upright, you would get a better contraction, but it is doable. I'm going to demonstrate a lot of exercises at the end, and that is one exercise I will demonstrate. But this is not a movement I particularly enjoy doing. I don't even do it at all, but I know a lot of people in the home gym community do it, so I will demonstrate it. But the contraction for the exercise, I can feel in my glute, but it is, compared to a lot of other power racks, I don't feel it nearly as quick or as deep, and I think it's because of the high positioning of the pulley, or at least the lowest positioning of the pulley, considering that the upright only has 20 positions. And as you can see here, this is the lowest position the pulley can go and lock. Get a better view right here. Something else to be aware of is the safeties. The lowest it can go, if you have the battle rope attachment / band attachment on the outside, is position 2. Okay, Position 2 is the lowest you can go with that attachment on. If you take that attachment off, you can go as low as position 1, which is the very bottom peg on this power rack. The reason it's important is it will set up your, how you will do something like a barbell row on the inside of the power rack or a rack pull. Okay? 5'9", in the number 2 position, the bar is just below my knee. So depending on your height, that may be an issue. You can mitigate that by putting a plate here, but say you're limited on plate, so you don't want to use a plate. This is the lowest position with the band attachment. I'm gonna take the band attachment off after this video just because I like getting a deep stretch for my movements, especially with barbell rows. I feel like I have to do a higher pull or a high barbell row in order to get a deep stretch, and I'd like to be a little bit lower to the ground. That way my arms really hang and I get a stretch in my back. To me that feels really good. So just to clarify, position 2 is the highest or the lowest position you can get with the band attachment. If you're not using it, take it off. That way you can use position 1. Another exercise that I'd like you to be aware of is if you're shoulder pressing, because we can't do it inside the cage for most people, is because you're going to touch the top braces. You're gonna have to do it outside. As you can see here, I set up my shoulder press outside, but I'm topped off at position 18 out of 20. I'm not very tall, I'm 5'9", and this is the highest position that I could get. But if you're taller than 5'9" and you want to get into a higher position, you're not going to be able to because of the pulley. The pulley is at its highest, which is 20, but you can't get any higher than 18 because 19 is blocked off. So just something to be aware of. This is the highest position that you will get if you are shoulder pressing outside of the power rack. Well, you're doing a standing shoulder press. Seated shoulder press, you can do that inside, outside, wherever.
Right?
It's revolve, and you get to choose 2 different characters.
Yeah.